Key representatives of the United States administration, Stephen Whitcoff and Jared Kushner, are planning to travel to Moscow to meet with Russian President Putin to discuss the most pressing issues of the current geopolitical situation, including the war in Ukraine, economic sanctions, and possible avenues for a diplomatic resolution of the conflict. This information appeared in major international media outlets, particularly in Bloomberg, and has already sparked a strong reaction in political and expert circles around the world. And now, more details in our report. You are watching the Glavrad channel. I'm your host, Evgeny Serov. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. According to the source, we are talking about the Director of International Relations and U.S. Foreign Policy, who may act as intermediaries or representatives of the American side in negotiations with the Russian leadership. There has been no official confirmation from the White House regarding specific dates or the agenda so far. However, the negotiations may take place in the coming weeks, which would essentially mark a turning point in diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the war and seek options for a ceasefire. This proposed visit comes amid mounting international pressure, increased sanctions against Russia, and U.S. attempts to rally allies for further pressure on Moscow regarding the implementation of the peace process and adherence to international norms. At the same time, the very idea that representatives of the U.S. administration will hold direct talks with the Russian authorities is seen as an attempt to initiate a new dialogue, which may include economic, military, and political components. According to Bloomberg sources, the discussions may cover a wide range of topics, from the prospects of ending large-scale hostilities between Russia and Ukraine to the conditions for observing sanctions and the further economic strategy toward Moscow. Experts note that inviting Russia to participate in high-level negotiations demonstrates Washington's willingness to seek diplomatic solutions to the conflict. Despite the deep contradictions between the parties, it is important to emphasize that Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of U.S. President Donald Trump and one of his closest advisors, has repeatedly participated in foreign policy initiatives, including negotiations in the Middle East as well as efforts to create peace plans for regional crises. His involvement in the proposed trip indicates that the U.S. administration is seriously considering the possibility of intensifying the negotiation track with Putin. In this regard, possible consequences of this initiative are already being actively discussed in American and European media. Supporters of diplomatic dialogue believe that high-level personal meetings can help de-escalate tensions and establish direct channels of communication between leaders and their representatives. In their view, even partial progress on any issues can serve as a signal of the parties' willingness for constructive engagement. However, not all experts share such optimism. Critics emphasize that attempts to reach an agreement with Russia on ending the war without substantial guarantees of Moscow fulfilling its commitments appear naive and risky. In their opinion, direct negotiations could be used by the Kremlin as a tool of political maneuvering, allowing it to buy time, ease international pressure, and strengthen its own position without taking real steps toward peace. These concerns are especially relevant against the backdrop of attacks, prolonged fighting, and ongoing repression in the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. Experts also note that such a trip would only be possible with the agreement of the Ukrainian side. Given that Ukraine is essentially the main party to the conflict and an interested party in any peace negotiations, Kyiv's position on these issues has not yet been officially announced. However, diplomatic circles emphasize that any discussions concerning the war and the future of Ukraine must include representatives from Kyiv on an equal footing.